Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tech Thursday presents Digitization 101. So today I'm going to be talking about the different processes that we can use to digitize our different information in the different formats that we have. So I'm going to turn into those ones and zeros that the computers can read. So we're going to go over different techie words so we can understand what the computer is talking about. Um, Also, we're going to learn the digitization lifecycle, so kind of the steps that we go through to digitize things. And then I'm going to give some different apps that we can use for DIY scanning. So if you're using like your phone or a tablet, there's lots of different scanning apps out there right now. So I kind of have the top 5 that I found on some websites. And then also what the library has to offer, because we do have some equipment here that is free to patrons and the public. So let's start out with what is digitization. So the actual digitizing is something, it's a fairly easy process. You can just take a picture or scan something and bam, it's in a computer in a readable format. Um, so like the hard work comes with managing and organizing the collection. Um, So the process of converting information to digital, in essence, computer readable format, is what digitization is. Or also the conversion of analog source material into those numerical ones and zeros format that a computer can read. And we use digitization for access, not really the preservation of information, because when you digitize something, it can be shared across so many different platforms. But as far as preserving, there are a lot of things that can go wrong in the digital realm. Things can disappear, hard drives can crash, things can be corrupted and changed very easily. Um, but another advantage is that you can make multiple duplicates, which is good for backups, and you can also create and repair some damaged originals as well. So some more terms here. The resolution is a measurement of how much detail an image will have. So when talking about resolution, you're talking about DPI or PPI, which a lot of times those will be changed or used interchangeably. So DPI is dots per inch, which is like on a printed photo, and pixels per inch is PPI, which is like a digital photo on the computer. And that just measures the resolution. So the more dots, the more clear and visible the photo will be, which also means the higher file size it will be. So it's going to take up more storage. So that's how we measure resolution and kind of know how big the photo will take up space. The next one's color depth, also known as bit depth. So you may not see this one as much, but it's the number of bits used to indicate the color or a single pixel. So the computer reads in ones and zeros, so it uses the numbers to indicate how many are used for each pixel. So the more bits, the richer the color detail. So when you're talking about black and white, it's just, black and white. But when you have grayscale, you're adding more different tones. So there's more bits. And then when you get into color, there's a lot more bits, and you're getting into more higher file sizes. The next term that you'll run into when you're digitizing is format, and that's the standard by which information is encoded. So that's when the PDFs and the TIFFs and the JPEGs come in. Those are the different formats that your files can be compressed into, and depending on what you plan on doing with those files is how you want to choose what format they will go into. So then compression is the method used by the different file standards to reduce the file size. And some example of those, there's lossless, lossy, and uncompressed. So what that would mean is Lossless, it's changing the file size. So like a TIFF would be, it's compressing the file, but it's not losing any resolution. So it's lossless. It's changing it, but it's not losing any resolution. Where lossy would be like a JPEG. It is compressing the file. It's making it smaller, less storage, but you are losing some of that resolution, and so it's kind of a give or take with that. And then there's just uncompressed, where it's completely all the original resolution, and it's going to be the very large file size. And then also at the bottom, I have a YouTube video where they go through a lot of these things kind of in more depth, but I like the way that they kind of talked about the vocabulary. If you look up these terms, like just on the computer or anything like that, it's going to be a lot more complicated to kind of think through. These are kind of dumbed down a bit to be able to understand, so I can understand. um, so the next one is OCR, which is optical character recognition, and that's basically where there's software where it enables the computer to search for text in an image. So if you're scanning a document, it's going to be able to recognize the text, and it's going to be able to, you can go in and find the separate words once it's scanned. So the OCR will be able to recognize that there's text in there. So you might see that pop up, or it might be something that you need to find. The next one, unless you're kind of working with like maybe certain documents that are very descriptive, there's metadata, and that's basically describing your documents and your photos, so the information about the image. And there's three types of metadata. There's administrative, descriptive, and structural. And those are something where if you're adding a lot of metadata and just information about the image, you're adding a lot of that. That's something that you might want to get into looking at standards for. There's different sites that give you tons of standards for how to fill these things out. So if that's, you definitely want to be descriptive in your information, so you can find it and other people could find it. But to get really down into it, there's lots of standards that you can look at. Also copyright. Sometimes when you're scanning things, it's not always yours that you've created. Sometimes it's your own photos, but then there's other things. So copyright is a determination of who holds legal rights to the image. And then platform is a major piece of software. So as an operating system, an operating environment, or just a database under which various smaller application programs can be designed to run. So it's kind of a big word, like a platform for different things. And we're going to talk about the digitization lifecycle. So the process you'll go through during digitization. First, you're going to want to go through and select your items. And then from that point, you're going to start creating them, then describing them, then you'll need to manage them. And then the last step will be preserving them. So we'll go through each step and talk about how to do that. And first is selecting. So what should I scan? Should I scan everything? If you're like my mother, no. There's a lot of things. That is a monumental task to do everything you have. So you really want to sit down and sort through everything that you have, get it all together. It's all together, then you can decide what's really important to you, and really go through and decide what you want to keep, what you will need later. So some ideas are things that are of high interest or high demand items, so things that are being used constantly. Also things that are physically fragile, you may want to have a digitization copy of that. And also if something's damaged, a good thing you could do is scan it, and then there's also software where you can go in and correct or fix the damaged items, and just put it back together. Also, unique items, you might want to have those scanned, and then stuff that fits on your scanner. So if you're using your phone, you can really take a picture of quite large items. But if you're using an actual physical scanner, you can only scan what fits on there. Otherwise, you have to start piecing things together. And I really think do you really need a copy of that? So that's something to think about. And some other things to consider when you're selecting what you want to digitize is storage capacity. Computer storage is not cheap. It can fill up really fast, so you don't want to have a whole computer or like five external hard drives just to store. I mean, if that's what you want and that's what you need, then that's what you do. But it's just something to think about. And then backups. So do you have the capability to back up your info? You want to make sure that you do have that, because if you're going to take the time to digitize it, definitely want to have backups because things can go wrong. The platform, what platform will you use to provide access to this? If you are going to, something you want to think about when you're selecting. And then standards, again, there's different sites which I'll share with you that have standards for scanning, describing, and even sharing your different digitized items. And then types. So what types of materials you're scanning. Again, if you're going to be doing something with text, you may need an ORC or OCR. If you're doing photos, you may want to, pay attention to what resolution you're using and things like that. So those are things to consider while you're selecting. And next, you're going to create your digitization or digital items. So by creating, that really means scanning your items. And the digitalpreservation.gov has a really great PDF, and it's really basic, just talking about what settings should you use for, like if you have a photo you want to scan and you just want to have it on the computer, you don't necessarily want to reprint it, so you would print it in a medium JPEG quality. It just kind of goes through, and it's not too complicated, so that's a really good resource. Also, when you can also choose scanning standards. So there's also another PDF through BCR's CDP digital imaging best practices, and it's a very lengthy document. It's about 71 pages long, because it really goes into detail describing what all the vocabulary means, what bitonal means. If you have a sepia photo and you want it scanned, should you scan it in black or white or color? Depending on what you want. It really goes into all that, and it's really great if you have a big collection and you need to know all those different things. So that's a great resource as well. And then also when you're scanning, you want to choose a scanner that's based on your standards and needs. Think about if you need any additional software. Do you need the OCR? Also, you want to choose a file naming schema. So this will be good to think about while you're creating your scans, because you'll be naming them as they're being created, and you want to stay consistent with that. So it'll be good to have that ready ahead of time, how you're going to do that. And we're going to talk about that in the next step. So that'd be good to have ahead of time. And also you want to make sure you have a computer with sufficient storage and image manipulation capabilities. So if you need to have like a photo software on there. And the great thing is, if you are using your phone or a tablet or anything like that, there's a lot of apps that you can use right now. So, and a lot of them are free, so it's great. So the next thing in the cycle will be describing your each piece of information. So when you're describing, you really want to think about how people will access your information, including yourself, and choose fields that will include descriptive access. So like my mom, she has tons of photos of her family, and none of them are digitized right now. They're all like very old photocopies, and whenever somebody wants a photo, like if someone passes away or something like that, and they're looking for a photo of cousin Larry from when he was younger, it's go through 5 tubs of photos that are completely in there just randomly. And it's kind of fun because we get to look through all the photos again, but it's also a very lengthy process. So a great thing would be to have year, place, people. You want to think about what kind of information is going to go into the actual photo and how you're going to describe it. And again, be consistent, because that's going to be key when you're organizing and managing all your data. And also, you can use formats like W3C for date entry and writestatements.org for write statements. Um, and W3C is the World Wide Web Consortium, and it's an international community that develops standards to ensure long-term growth of the web. So they're always going through and developing these standards and teaching people about these standards just to help the growth of the web and keep it going in a positive way. So they're going to have things on there to help you do the date entry, and then the rate statements if you have anything like legal documents in there. So also with the metadata, there's like Dublin Core, and I didn't get into that too much. That's definitely, especially if you're like in like a heritage club or genealogy or something like that, where you're putting in a lot of information specific to a certain time about certain people, where metadata comes very important. And then at the bottom, there's an example just of a folder within a folder structure. So if I have Ophelia's wedding and I have these photos from her rehearsal and her ceremony, I know that my consistent data entry, I want to start out with the year, and then 2 digits for the month, and then, or 2 digits for the month and 2 digits for the day, followed by a descriptive term, and then the rest filled in like that. And then that will keep it very consistent, and the dates will line up or very nice with that format, because then it will go in order by the date. If I sort it by date, by number. So that's a good structure to stay with. And there's other different structures that you could go with. If date is not what you're looking for, if you're looking for more by name, you could start out with a name, just what makes more sense to you and what you think will be most accessible to other people. So then, now that you've digitized your items and you've described them, then it's keeping it managed. So you can find external hard drives to store data with quite a lot of storage on them for like under $100. There's some that are more expensive, there's some that are less expensive, but those are an option, and those are pretty sturdy. They're carryable, they're like probably about this big. And then also cloud storage is a convenient to have. I definitely wouldn't have it as your only option, because things on there can be manipulated and corrupted, but they're great to have as like a backup. And then also it's always great to keep hard copies, and then store those in safe conditions. There's also different ways to cheaply keep things safe, as far as temperature, moisture, to keep all those things, the paper, in the best condition it can be, because really paper 9 times out of 10 is going to outlast a digital product in its original format. And then also, when you have those backups, you want to keep them in separate locations, because if something does happen and they're all in the same place, they could all get destroyed, and then all that work is gone. And that would be sad. And then also you want to maintain your storage and computer systems, because you let things go, and don't keep check up on them, then that's when preservation doesn't happen, which is our next step, is preservation. So if you're going to take time to make something digital and have others be able to access it, you want to make sure you keep checking on it and make sure things haven't been messed with or corrupted. And if you have ever interacted with any sort of technology, you probably know that nothing is perfect. And we just want to make sure what's important to us is staying intact. So keep checking up on that. And that's how you want to preserve what you're digitizing, and just always keep going back to that. So next, I have some popular document scanning apps, and this list comes from techradar.com. It's really great because if you go to the website, I have the link at the bottom there. It gives a review of each app, and it even includes like if there's all of these come free, all these apps do, but of course there's upgrade pricing for the apps. So you could try it out, and if it doesn't work for you, you could delete it. Or if you're willing to pay the price for the upgrade one, you could do that. So there's Adobe Scan, Abby Fine Scanner, and Genius Scan, ScanBot, and Can Scanner. Those were ones that were constantly popping up, so I chose this list because they had the most popular ones. And then also there's photo scanning apps. So document scanning apps are going to give you the OCR that has the text reading capabilities, where a photo scanning app is going to give you more of photo resolution and better quality. So this list is from anysoftwaretools.com. It also comes with great reviews of the app, and it has like pros and cons. So it lets you know right away, like if you're looking for reprinting, if you want real high quality, this is not the app for you. If you're just trying to post to social media, this is a good app. So that's something you want to pay attention to whenever doing photo scanning apps, because some of them just don't have that great resolution, but if that's not what you need, then it's a great app. So number one was photo scan, and then number two, cam scanner, which I marked that one because cam scanner is a document scanner and a photo scanner, so it has both capabilities. So if you know you're doing both, that's something you definitely want to try. And then PhotoMine, Pic Scanner, and Memories. So those are some that you can try out if you're wanting to do scanning with your own device, or if you don't have a scanner at home that you're going to be using, which can be kind of pretty expensive. So it's nice when you already have these devices that are pretty costly. You can use those for scanning capabilities. So if you are going to do that, there's some extra tools that you can use. So there are some expensive options, like the one on the top there is about around $50. It does have a lot of different capabilities. You can change the different levels, and it does hold your phone and the document. So, if you're willing to pay the price for those expensive things, there's lots of different ones. There's some that just hold the phone up in the air, kind of like the one on the bottom left, which seems like if you really look at it, it's not, but there are some that are expensive that hold the phone like that. But the one on the bottom left is actually a DIY project. Someone had made stand out a PVC pipe and a phone clip. They created their own phone scanner stand. So, get creative. You can do that on your own. And then the one on the bottom right, I thought was really cool. It's basically just a box with a square cut off the top. It has some other features like the design of it, the shape, and it allows your camera to go on the top, and the camera can see through the square to take the photograph. And also, really the point of the box is that it blocks off all shadow and light, or it blocks off all shadow and light, so there's no glare or shadows coming onto your photo. It just has the light from the camera itself. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I also thought that that's something that you could probably just create yourself if you have like a really sturdy box and like the right size of the box, and you have a box cutter and you're very careful with it. You could probably just create that yourself. So it'd be worth a try. So those are some tools that you can use. And then also I want to mention that the library also has a kick scanner. Um, so it has two different scanning methods. It has a click mini scanner bed and an ADF scanner. So the scanner bed is great for like delicate or damaged items, also large items like large photos, or if you have like books and posters. And then the ADF scanner is an auto document feeder. That's what ADF stands for. And it's great, like if you have a large stack of documents, it'll just automatically scan them through, and it automatically scans them two-sided. So you don't even have to worry about that. And also, like if you just have like one document, you could just scan that really quick. You don't have to put it on the scan bed and scan it. Um, it's really quick. In the scanner, it lets you choose your resolution and file type, and it has a couple of different editing features. You can crop photos, you can flip photos. It's not like an advanced photo editor or anything like that, but you can definitely do a few things right there on the scanner. And then once you're finished, you can save your files to just a thumb drive right there, or you can email them to yourself, and then from there you can manage them. And also, it's a free service, and if you need assistance, it's always available if needed while you're in the library. So that's something that we have here. And so just a few takeaways from today. Digitization, it helps us share those important moments in time with our loved ones and possibly like generations to come. So if it wasn't for people who work hard to really preserve different documents and things, there's so much we wouldn't know about the past. Um, and paper hard copies are more durable, but they're not invincible. So that's something I wanted to mention. So just mold and decay can destroy them if not properly stored. So we want to make sure that those are, if they're important, to get those in the best condition as possible. And keep backups of what is important to you. And then I'll just mention one more time, there's lots of free resources out there for the digitization process and for digital preservation. It can be a big topic. There can be a lot about it, or you can just, there can be a small amount depending on what you want to do. And I'll just mention digitalpreservation.org has a lot of great resources. So that's all I have for today. And I'm Jasmine. Have an amazing day and stay safe.